You know how sometimes you stumble upon a word that just clicks? A word that perfectly describes a feeling you didn't even know how to name? Well, today we're going to explore one of those words and use it to light up a really powerful idea: the resplendent path of quiet authenticity.
Okay, so this word, resplendent, what does it actually mean? Well, the classic definition is pretty straightforward. It's something that's very bright and attractive. Think about a brilliant sunset or a truly dazzling performance, or maybe that one person who just lights up any room they walk into. It's all about that big, obvious outward shine.
But here's the question that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. What if that's not the only kind of brilliance out there? What if the most real, the most authentic radiance is actually quiet? And that question leads us right into our first section, a different kind of shine. We're going to dig into this idea of appreciating your own calm demeanor. You know, that strength that doesn't need a spotlight to be seriously powerful.
This quiet power is all about the art of just being. It's not about being flashy or fighting to be the center of attention. It means you don't need constant recognition from everyone else. And honestly, the best part, it saves so much of your energy. When you're not constantly performing for an audience, you can pour all that focus into what's actually important to you.
But let's be real. This quiet path isn't always easy, is it? And that brings us to our next section, the effort of being. This is where we get into that deeply human struggle, that fundamental desire we all have to connect with people.
And this right here, this is the internal tug-of-war so many of us feel. On one side, you've got a totally natural goal. You want to be important to others. You want to matter. But on the other side, there's this nagging fear. The fear of giving off overbearing energy if you try too hard. It's that constant dance between wanting to be seen and not wanting to push people away.
So how do you navigate that? How do you solve that tricky internal conflict? Well, that's where the wisdom of waiting comes in. This is all about learning to read the room, to pick up on those little social cues, and to just trust the process. This new path is about learning a few key things. First, you got to be more open-minded about how things can unfold. Second, and this one's huge, stop desperately trying to force puzzle pieces to fit where they just don't belong. And third, and maybe the most important, you have to give a new connection, a new path, time to breathe and grow all on its own.
Here's a great way to picture it. Think about a flower that's still just a bud. It could be a new friendship, a project at work, or even a part of yourself. It's got all this potential, but it hasn't bloomed yet.
And just like that flower, you simply cannot speed up the process. You can't force it. You have to let it be. You can tend to the other things in the garden of your life, sure, but you can't make that one specific flower bloom on your schedule. It has its own rhythm.
This whole idea of trusting the timeline brings us to our final section, living your own script. This is where we're going to compare those neat, tidy stories we see in the movies with the beautiful, messy reality of our own lives.
So why do we feel this constant pressure to force things? Well, think about it. In a movie, there's a fixed timeline, a clear path, and usually a nice cookie-cutter ending. But life's script is broad. It's got an open timeline with plenty of room for detours. The real secret is learning to strike when the time is right for us, not for some made-up story.
So, after all of this, the quiet demeanor, the internal conflict, the wisdom of waiting, what's the ultimate lesson here? It might be the exact opposite of what you think. The lesson is not to try harder. It's to simply show up as yourself, authentically, quietly, and consistently. And this idea is just perfectly captured in this amazing quote: "Light doesn't ask permission to shine. It simply shows up and lets the world adjust." I mean, think about that. You don't need validation. You don't need applause to be your true self. When you just live genuinely, the world will naturally figure out how to make space for the light you bring.
So how can we carry this feeling with us every day? Well, here's a simple but really powerful practice. Imagine putting a few sticky notes on your mirror, just little daily reminders, that you are patient, that you are creative, and that you are, right in this moment, enough. And so we'll leave you with this final thought. When you look at your own unique talents, your passions, all of your quiet strengths, what light are you waiting for permission to shine?